Yeah, it's now, thank you. That's
All right, we are live.
All right. Historic Preservation Commission meeting for August 20th, 2025. Call to order. Clay Burkett here. Claudia Camargo.
Here, and just for the minutes of the recording, I will be leaving at 5.
Okay. George Ruiz. Chris Sutton.
here.
Hope Wilson.
Oh.
Luann Holman.
Yes, here.
Allison Daglow.
Here.
Tim Shope.
Here.
All right, we have a confirmation of a quorum. We will be voting. Let's go back to the roll call. George Ruiz.
Here.
All right.
Hey, I still have like a minute or something before.
All right, do we want to do the approval of minutes first, or we don't? Are we doing that, and then the new business? Okay, I didn't know if we were changing it up or not.
Well, we can still
Okay.
do the approval of minutes.
Okay, approval of minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Didn't bring the minutes.
I have them up here and then I did email them to everybody too.
I went through them, I thought they were okay.
That was from the meeting, we had to schedule that additional
Yeah.
meeting for quorum. And that's what the meeting through the minutes were from. I have them up
I
here.
apologize, I totally did not see your attachments for some reason.
I was
and-
absent, so I
Okay.
right behind
That was regarding the property on 108 South Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone would like to see those, I do have them up on the screen.
I breezed through them, and thanks, because they put me up to speed, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. I like that he's doing that. All of that stonework too, redoing some of that. It's nice.
Well, they look good to me. I read them once.
Yeah, I didn't see any issues, but
Well, to read them. Did you see, are you good? Did you read it? All right, I'll make a motion to approve them.
okay. We have a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Minutes are approved. All right, new business 101 Mommy Street. COA staff report.
Yep, I will give my staff report and then we'll give Wade some time for any questions that the commission has. The description of the proposed project, and let me bring that up on the screen for everybody as well. This is for the property on 101 West Maumee Street. The property owner is proposing the replacement of 3 upper windows on the north side of Maumee with new double hung gridded windows with half circles on the top. Windows will be similar to the ones that were installed on the east side last year. Exterior trim will be replaced and will be brown in color. Installation of new composite shiplap siding also in brown to be placed on the awning that faces the north and east entrances. Replacement of 7 sconce lights at the awnings will also be in the color black. Repainting the soffits, trim, and the posts at each entrance, all in the same brown color scheme. I do have pictures at the end of that report too, and I'll get to those on the screen as well. The complete remodel will include replacing 3 upper windows on the north side, the exterior trim updated to be brown, adding the composite shiplap siding to awning facing north and east entrances, replacing 7 sconce lights and awning, replacing the soffits, trim, and posts at each entrance, and again, all color schemes will be in that brown category, which I have pictures of that as well. For the applicable ordinance and authority, the guidelines stating on page 75, windows, says windows in a building that are beyond repair as defined as over 50% of the original window material requiring replacement. Proposed replacement should match the existing windows that will remain the same in size, shape, light dimension, operation, and materials. On page 73, walls states, substitute materials such as fiber cement or other composite materials pre-approved by the commission can be considered when deteriorated wood siding is in high moisture contact locations. The following composite or new materials have been approved by the commission: wood composite and fiber cement. Page 76 for painting states repainting a building in a color scheme suitable to the age, style, and district using colors from the pre-approved color palette. The commission has approved the use of colors from Sherwin-Williams or an equivalent historic approved exterior color palette. On page 52 for awnings, canopies, marquees, and lighting states utilize LED lighting on primary facades to accentuate historic features. Exterior lights should be LED or 3000 kV or less, mounting lighting in a manner that does not require removal or damage to original materials that gives the building its character. For my staff evaluation upon review, and I'm just gonna scroll down here quick. The proposed project does comply with applicable ordinances and guidelines outlined in the Angola Historic Preservation Guidelines. The materials selected for the windows, shiplap, sconce, lighting, soffits, trim, and post repainting are appropriate for preserving the historical character of this building, and the design and installation is consistent with the criteria for windows, walls, lighting on historic structures. Materials and paint colors are pre-approved materials and paint colors in the Historic Preservation Guidelines. Staff recommends approval of the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed renovation, as the project does meet the city's historic preservation standards. The renovation has been carefully planned to respect the building's original design while incorporating appropriate modern materials where needed. The goal is to maintain the building's historic character and ensure its long-term preservation. This project will help protect an important piece of our community's heritage while positively contributing to the overall look and feel of the downtown commercial district. This applicant is applying for the facade grant to use in 2025. Applicant is requesting $10,000 to use from grant funds, with a total estimated project of around $25,000. And I'm just gonna go over some of the photos that were sent. These were the 3 windows that was discussed in the report that I just gave, and then this is a close-up of those said windows, still keeping that shape that is in there. This was the dark brown shiplap siding, and just an image of what that could potentially look like on a building. And an image of the proposed black sconce lighting. Does the commission have any questions for me, or do we want Wade to come up at this time for any questions for him?
I have a question for you,
Okay.
Allison. Did you see a picture of the new windows?
I did. I think it was in his packet as well.
It would just be for visual aid. I mean, if you get your eyes on them and you see that it'll be a similar shape. Oh, it looks like he has.
I got all these too. Okay.
And it's the same ones that are on the east side.
Okay.
Oh, they're the
Building,
same
you want
ones.
actually-
Oh, they are the same
You
ones.
want to
Okay.
look at it.
Would you be, what are you gonna be doing with the original trim? Is that coming off and then inserting the new windows?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, on the exterior, that trim, the windows are gonna go what we did on the other side.
And the only reason I'm asking is, the only concern we have as a commission is the structure of the building, right? So obviously windows interfere with that, whether it's if they're hinged or if they're locked in or screwed in or something. That's why I'm asking about the shape of the window and the trim. If it's gonna remain the same, or if it's not even hinged and, pulling it out and putting the new ones are not gonna affect the structure, then that would be our only concern.
I'm trying to remember what we
I
did.
feel like the windows on the side of the building, actually they capped, the wood frame around it. I feel like
That's what I'm thinking we.
it was capped with like some kind of metal.
Yeah.
So that it's all, they didn't,
You're right.
they didn't
I think
actually
you're right.
remove it.
I was trying to
I
like,
feel like they
yeah,
just added the metal to the outside of the frame so it didn't have to be scraped and painted.
right. I think you're right. Cause I was trying to remember, cause
I literally
looked
looked at it
all the
when I
time.
was walking by.
Yeah,
and was-
I did too, and that's what I was trying to,
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the only concern I can see from this. I walked the building, I didn't look at the other windows because I'm not sure if even an application was done, maybe back when they were replaced, maybe the commission
Last
was.
year.
yeah, they were,
Oh, they were,
last year,
okay.
yeah.
So if
last
those
year
were
we did-
approved.
We did it, yeah.
Okay.
We approved it, yeah.
Then that's my mistake there. That was the only concern I saw. The lighting fixture's not even attached to the main structure of the building. It looks like there were wood edges linked to the building, so to me, it's not affecting the structure of the
those-
building.
Will they be attached to that same spot where you're removing the ones?
That's the.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it's what Will stated.
Cause see, these aren't as curved as the front windows, they're a little different.
Remember there's 7 lights.
But see, the ones in the front are like a huge arch.
I have a question.
Yeah, because I think somebody
Little
said
bit
that
of curve.
the top was the one that was framed off too.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my only concern, but
Oh, yeah.
if it was approved, then, obviously the integrity of the building wasn't affected by the first installation.
That's where they're currently at, and we're planning on putting them back in the same.
Yeah, okay, right there.
Yeah, and it's not gonna affect,
Yeah,
I
you can
don't know if
see- you can see
everybody's,
them
yeah,
right there.
it's not affecting
This
the
is the one you're
foundation.
buying, that one, you're getting that?
Yep.
Yeah. Is it glass frosted? Is it glass frosted or clear?
That should hopefully clear.
So that's what you're gonna have is clear.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys want to see all these?
Yeah, we saw, did they see them?
Yeah.
Okay, there it goes.
Yeah, my, that was my only comment, other than that, I mean, I looked at one of the windows and I don't even know how long it's survived that way. I mean,
No kidding.
a part of the trim is missing, so, I mean,
Yeah,
Looks like they're falling
yeah,
out.
they definitely need replaced.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah, cause you can see how
Mhm.
close.
well, there's one that's missing right here, when
Yeah,
I went to
yeah.
remove it.
I just would like clarification of the guidelines. This- So the window guidelines say replacement should match the existing windows. That will remain in size, shape, light, division, which, and operation and materials.
So he's keeping the same
So
shape.
this is a binder. Replacement is a binder,
Yes.
which is not the same material as the other. Is that guidelines? No?
Window.
So, on the shiplap, are you doing that on that one beam there? Is that what's on there?
Yes.
That
Up
or
here.
this?
This is just gonna be painted.
Oh, okay, well, let
Are
me
you
see that, let me
painting this
see
part?
that color
This part?
picture
No,
again.
that's gonna
This part?
that's gonna get the ship lap
Right
siding.
here, this one is.
And then on the side.
Okay, what did you want to see? Which one?
That one, that color one.
This one?
Yeah, cause this is that, oh no, that's not the same thing, what is this? Picture.
Which one are you
Oh,
referring to?
here, I have one. Would you want these other?
This one?
That's the edge. That's the.
On the bottom.
Okay, and that's what you're painting?
Here's the, here, do you
Yeah.
want
Yeah,
this?
that's what you're painting?
Yep, the
Oh, okay.
underside, the soffit underneath these.
Okay,
Um,
and that, okay,
Yep.
yeah, cause I just saw that and I
All
was
those.
wondering if you were shiplapping that or if you were painting it. I was just curious, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright,
So, Hope, what was your question?
My question is, the guidelines call it replacement windows. Should match the existing windows that will remain in size, shape, light division, operation, and materials. And these are vinyl. I'm not sure that they are wood. Same question about the shiplap. It says it should be a wood composite or fiber cement. And I think there might be a difference between wood composite and just plastic composite. I just want to clarify what's.
far as the windows go, I know that they're the same ones we did last year that was approved. The composite, we haven't done that on the building before, so I don't know what. Let me see if I've got,
Fiber cement's just like wood. I mean,
Fiber cement looks just like the nice scrap. But composite, there are grades of, you know what I mean?
it's, it just says it's a high grade, high impact fiber composite.
So it's not a wood composite.
I don't know what their fiber's made of.
Which was still okay as far as the guidelines went.
The guidelines say wood composite,
And fiber composite.
fiber cement, which is a different thing. Fiber cement is that they're doing those down south a lot. My son has a fiber cement house. That's fair. I haven't seen too much of it up here.
Wade, are you planning to keep the same footprint of the awning? The same style?
Yes. Except the curve on the top, that's gonna get filled in, like, it'll be peaked.
Okay.
It'll be covered with the material you put.
Yeah. Right now, it's,
Oh, that cutout?
yeah,
Yeah.
deteriorated, and that's
Yeah.
where a lot of the moisture's coming.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's, nests,
Something there, like, why would they do?
or nests, and,
Do you have any idea what's behind it?
behind the,
The shiplap that's currently.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
I would imagine framing and
Yeah. I don't know that you want to get into
empty
that.
space, yeah,
Yeah.
framing.
The only
That's
thing.
the thing with my awning. I don't know what's behind that.
The only thing for us would be the structure again on the back. Maybe that's
Yeah.
why he was
Yeah.
asking, but as long as you don't touch that, then.
Yeah.
We're not planning on it. Yeah.
The color is good,
Yeah.
and the material that you're using, I mean, I appreciate using the colors to keep the tone as common. I wish we had a brighter downtown, but that's.
I know.
That's not historical, so I appreciate you going to those colors.
They are going to add neon green to this one.
How do you know?
Yeah, so that is one of the comments that I was gonna say. I
Yeah.
appreciate you trying to
Yeah.
look for those colors and try to stick to the.
I think the darker
Standard.
color will look nice. I like the idea.
Right.
It's not just brown.
So, I guess moving along with Hope's concern, my only comment would be if the other windows were approved by the commission last year
Yeah.
and they were the same material, then what would be our present concern?
Or maybe we just didn't catch that.
Yeah,
because
I don't think we did, because I thought they were aluminum wrapped.
Yeah,
Aren't
which
they?
is a different thing
Aren't they wrapped in aluminum?
too.
Yeah,
I mean, I have,
Do we wanna break the certificate or the request in two and approve something so he can get the grant moving and get more clarification on the windows?
I just don't know.
I just know when
Just
it
trying
comes
to
to,
know, then it
yeah.
won't match the side if it changes. Yeah.
Well, okay.
So the windows are vinyl?
It says,
The ones on the side as well?
The
new
ones that we
ones
did
are?
last year.
Yeah.
They are, yes.
They look good. Yeah.
Vinyl replacement windows.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Same thing.
Well, again, how do we wanna proceed with his application? Do we wanna
Any more
split it? Do we
comments,
wanna?
or-
I think we should approve it, considering we've already approved the.
I'm not sure, like I say too, but the siding, which is And the guidelines in there.
Which siding? Oh,
Are you running it vertical?
oh,
Wait, are you running it vertical or horizontal?
Same way.
I think we were gonna run it,
Horizontal?
Oh. That would be different.
yeah. We can run it vertical if you guys.
Well, there's nothing historical about
Oh,
that.
no, I was just curious.
Yeah,
I know, and, right.
yeah, I was gonna say again, it's not,
yeah. the
it's not
awning is-
for our
is
looks,
different,
it's
yeah.
the structure as the
Yeah.
main deal. And
Okay.
And
to
that's,
stick as close to the material,
Yeah.
obviously you're not gonna get the materials from back then, but.
Right.
I mean, what I'm saying is that awning isn't particularly old. And was just someone's look at the time with that colonial. I'm more concerned about the material than I am about.
That was the composite shiplap siding. That Hope is talking about, it's a
And-
composite shiplap siding.
Which means it's a plastic product, a wood composite is different, it's wood fibers.
I'm pretty sure that when we redid the front of the venue, that we used similar product, and that was approved as well, for what it's worth.
I wish you hadn't have brought that up because
It also looks very, very nice. I just felt that very well.
I remember that. We did. I got so excited when it went down to the original, I was all excited and then.
We wanted to do it differently, but the price was,
I know. I
and they
get
wanted
you.
us to reuse a bunch of the old brick, and it was really gonna be costly. Not we, Rhonda.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, and then that's where we get into a gray area if we're gonna, because we, obviously, you look at it now, and the proposed is obviously gonna make it look better, but, I mean, we have to find some, because we will never get exact replica from 1800s. It's
know.
just not, I'm just saying, we have, I mean, obviously we can be for or against something, but we have to, it's never gonna be exact perfect. We know that.
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying,
people can't afford that,
on an old
unfortunately.
building, there's
Yeah.
a big difference between a vinyl product and a wood product. And so I think there'll be a difference in the shiplap, if it's vinyl, rather, if it looks like wood.
I would say they'll last longer, that's the big difference. It'll last longer than the wood, and it looks very much like,
Except it will fade. I mean, you
well,
look at that.
yeah, versus having to repaint the wood over and over. Yeah.
This is what I wish we had. Experts here. More about it.
Anything, George? Yes? So then,
And again, I'll just kind of reread from page 73, walls. States, substitute materials such as fiber cement or other composite materials that have been pre-approved by commission can be considered when the deteriorated wood siding is in a high moisture contact location.
It's not in the high moisture. That's something like a fence or something like that. And it also then goes on to say what has been approved is wood composite.
In regards to moisture, I hope I might have to disagree, because it doesn't have any ledge on the top of the building. And I'm sure all that rain is getting stuck on
there's
that.
no gutter, so.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I might have to disagree with, that
I mean, they
Especially with
obviously
snow.
have had issues.
if that snow is staying on there.
It's not this picture, but they've obviously had issues in the past if they put that aluminum flashing. If you can see in the one picture, there's flashing up top. They were obviously getting moisture inside of that, or they wouldn't have put that up there.
Everyone gets flashing.
Standard when? For what year?
I mean, my house has flashing.
I know, but it's not historically accurate, right?
I'm sure they did something to fix to the brick to keep the water from it.
Okay.
Whether it was not aluminum back then, but wood. That's because you've approved something before, like we never, in my feeling, we shouldn't have approved composite fencing. Basement which didn't get used, so that's beyond the point, because it's, you know, we realized we're like a certificate. So I'm just concerned about. I mean, I wish we had the product to be able to see. I can envision.
Sure.
Yeah, looking like decking up there.
That'll always be difficult, I mean, so we can only show imagery, I don't really have any other way to show anything tangible, I guess, I can only show images of what it could potentially look like.
We could go to the venue and look at it. I mean, it's a very similar product.
Yeah, which I think is quite unattractive, but that's my view. You don't need my vote.
Does anyone have any type of motion?
How do we feel about the windows? Are we good then, or do we need to separate it? That's my only thing. That seems to be the topic of discussion.
I think even, since we already have it.
With the certificate as it's presented. What are your thoughts? It's not a vote, but it's just more of a comment.
I'm okay with the composite as long as it is similar in color as what's already there. As far as that goes in the windows, you've already approved similar materials on the side, so it'll go back now.
I mean, wait, just to be clear, that siding, is it one piece or do you have to put it up and then you actually put the joint, the middle piece? You know how it comes together? Because we just put shiplap on our cottage, and so it's like a piece, and then you put, then on the, where it butts up, then you put the trim piece that's in the middle, or is it just all
It's
one?
each piece hooks onto the other.
So it's
Okay,
actual
so,
shiplap,
so
almost
then,
like
so then your middle piece is, you're not attaching that already came attached, correct?
It's like that. That's a separate piece from that.
This
Those
is,
two.
okay,
so it's actual.
this doesn't just butt up into there?
This is kind of a receiver.
Yes.
And then this bottom goes into that. Does that
Okay.
make sense? It's kind of like this. Each one does that.
Because this looks like one piece to me.
That probably is two pieces
Yeah, I
joined
think-
from the back.
Right.
Because if you look, this piece latches into this piece, and then that's where it's attached.
So
See
this,
how this is?
See how the you can kind of see the configuration here? This will split up into that one. And so they just put the two together for the picture. But it's individual for each board.
Each one is converted into each other. It's not traditional in the sense of having a chain connects, but
That would give it more of a H.
yeah.
Not to dump more on you from me, Allison, but would you be able to like make sure that the setting of the windows are similar to what was approved on the other side
Yes,
if the motion moves forward?
yes.
And just to add to, a permit will still have to be issued for the awning from the city, so your approval is literally just facade only.
Mhm.
That they still have to come to the city to obtain permits to install and do what they need to do. So this isn't.
Structurally, yeah.
Yeah, structurally
Right.
to ensure that everything's fine.
Right.
So the look, you know, again, I think it's gonna look better. It's there completely. And so whatever you guys vote on that is fine, but just know that they still have to come and structurally get permits to get the remodel and get that done.
So,
And in reality, that
If
should
it's-
be our concern, right? The structure, the integrity.
The structure, the
building.
safety, the
Yes.
facade, the look.
I mean, the look should remain the same, Hope, don't get me
Right,
wrong.
aesthetics is-
Yes,
yeah.
but I mean, if we let some of the stuff with not getting upgraded, then we're gonna lose a building eventually, right?
exactly.
Because the structure,
And that's, and
the
that's
bricks,
what
the,
I'm trying to
Not
do
safe.
and then,
here
and then,
is be, you know,
I don't
like
think-
logically, and, huh?
I don't think that it's gonna affect this integrity of the building, it's just a decorative.
exactly, and that's probably why it shouldn't be that big of a concern of the material or the
Well, it is
update.
because of the looks, I think, on an old 1860 building. But did you just think about shingles?
Shingles
On the front?
on the front of it?
And I'm just looking at the climb, we got a lot of.
Would shingles be, that would be different from the material currently used, right?
But you don't, and they'd be wood.
Would
Wood
shingles?
shingles
Wood
going
shakes.
straight down?
I think you're talking about shakers, like the
Yeah.
shake pieces of wood. Is that what you mean? I think that's what.
Yeah. Shingle.
Yeah, someone who has them on top of their awning, I do not recommend.
Hope we also have to take in consideration the cost.
No, we actually
Well,
don't, but that is
As a
why
building-
the guidelines do.
But we,
take it.
but
we need
we
to-
do.
we-
What we are here for is to make our downtown look good and look as historically accurate as possible. Historically accurate can also be abandoned buildings falling down if we don't have people with hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it exactly the way they did it in 1865. They don't have
They
that.
didn't do that in 1865, and it was.
correct, so,
1860,
But they did the windows and
right, the windows they did, but they didn't do that on, and we have already made allowances for expenses in the guidelines by allowing wood composite or fiber cement. So. Just.
no, I completely understand. In a perfect world, I would love that. I mean, I would love to do it exactly the way it is, and you know, but
I'm not carrying that as exact because it's not a historic line,
then okay, then what's the problem then?
the materials.
Okay, but if it's not okay, you don't care, but you do. I need to
Because
understand.
it's not an 1860 building.
I get where she's coming from. We've made allowances for the type of material, that is cheaper than the original material, in the actual proposal.
Okay,
So her thing is following composite or, so wood composite or fiber cement is what it allows.
right.
The composite that he's looking at is plastic. It's a plastic base, right? That's your issue with that. However, I see, yeah,
Is it plastic?
it just says composite, there's no.
I know, but is it plastic or is it like fiber cement?
I think it's like a polyvinyl chloride type of a product or a thermoplastic type of a product. I don't know what it's comprised
It looks
of.
like wood.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So the reason the state And when Indiana Landmarks was here, when we did the venue, was because it was no longer a contributing building, because there had been changes. It was not historically accurate already.
Right.
So,
Like my building is not a contributing
no,
building
and
because
most
my
of
awning
these
was
buildings
added
are
later.
not. There's very few contributing buildings anymore in our downtown. So when we did the venue, that was looked at and approved, and they said, absolutely have at it. It's not a contributing building. So historical accuracy at this point, it doesn't matter. Now, depending on the material, that's obviously completely up to you guys on how you feel about that or what it looks like. And if you would rather see a piece of it, that's totally fine on whatever you think, but that's why it was allowed on the venue. And Indiana Landmarks was here at that time and completely approved the venue board because it looks good, it works, it holds up in the weather, and that's how it was done. It's a non-contributing building because there have been so many changes over the years. So I was here at that hearing and that.
Right, and exactly like the venue, we want it to look nice. We don't want it to look like it's out of, 3050, year 3050. We want it to look, you know what I mean? I mean, you want it to look historic, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, you've got this entire range of ways that things can look, and it's like, you gotta see where you're at. Like what I'm saying is a gray area because it's never going to be exact.
Yeah, I think there's a balance between trying to come close to a look to keep it historically, aesthetically pleasing, but also keeping up with the times and current technologies that are better than some of those old technologies that don't last as long.
Right.
Are you doing
And
this-
cost.
Are you doing the side one also, or?
Yeah. Yep. The one where the Ermine Insurance.
Oh, you're doing the Ermine one too?
It's a small, I don't know if that.
And then you're putting the sign back up?
I think I saw it on a side picture of something.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, just that little.
Just that little is gonna be dark brown, and this is
match
staying,
this. Mhm.
the roof is staying, okay.
Yeah, is that what you were looking at?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the little
Match
triangle
this.
over Ermine's side.
They're referring to this little one on the side
Oh,
to
yeah.
match this one. As far as the sign, we're not sure if we're gonna put that back up. We have to talk to them about it because that's the main door for the art scene also. So we may do something a little bit different to convey that there's more than one business through that door.
So can I ask, do you have any kind of a visual of what that will look like? Like, are you trimming it out the way it is trimmed now, or are you just doing?
Yeah, I mean, what I envisioned was just.
When I look it up, there's just a variety of styles that people have used. Some more modern than others.
As far as
Chip butt.
what the panel looks like on, it looks. These are the individual boards. And
See
it's,
how that is modern, there's no trim on it. So that's what I'm asking, are you just doing a tiny little trim, or are you doing more of a?
there'll be a trim piece on it, you know,
a little
around
trim?
the outside,
So it's
yeah,
really
we're
gonna
not,
look- It's gonna look like the siding of a house, not like a.
well, for sure it won't look like that because that's got the different colored.
Oh, yeah, I know
Vertical.
that. But do you see why it has, I'm saying it has a line trim around it? You were just talking about
I mean,
something that looks like
we-
the siding of a house.
If that's the direction you want us to go, we can trim it out with a wider piece of trim. It's gonna be the same color.
It's just, yeah,
This was the trim on the screen, or I'm sorry, the product on the screen that you'd like him to use, or that he would like to use. If there's some particular things you're wanting as far as how that's hung, I think we could also ask Wade to do that, if that's something that you're looking at. So if you think it would look better with a wider trim, that could be something we would ask him to do.
but it's just, yeah, to have the visual would be nice. 'Cause it's-
Slats are thicker.
Right now, you're
Yeah, I
just,
mean, again, this, I don't know that this, pretty sure this awning wasn't historical.
Right.
So the look of it,
There's no sense making it look worse.
Any other comments for Wade? Questions?
My mind is always in the structure, man. I just wanna make sure that they don't nail anything, and in this situation, it would be really hard to match the similar material. Unfortunately, everybody's going to composites. And, I mean, it would be really hard to, that's probably why the guidelines suggest like, hey, anything that falls in this range you can use. I mean, and I didn't look at the guidelines. I think that's where we fail sometimes. We need to come in here and look and see, okay, you know, not just dump it on Allison, but maybe just even ourselves say, all right, if we get this ahead of time, right? So we should be like, all right, well, he's presenting vinyl. Is vinyl accepted on the guidelines? You know, if vinyl's not accepted, what are the other materials, right? We should, I mean, I'm all for it if something doesn't feel right for us not to go with it. But I'm not for it to just sitting here and just saying no, and instead we should suggest, right? Maybe not as in you need to move forward with this, but this material might not work, but the guidelines do propose this material. What's your think on that, right? Unfortunately, I did not go into the guidelines to see these specific. I think Allison does a great job on presenting what she needs to present. And the only question I had was the windows, just because that's really into the structure, right? You know, I was just afraid, hey, without seeing actually what's going in there, you know, something comes off and then we have concrete coming down, or, you know, bricks loosening around the window. That was my fear. Other than that, as long as you stick with the awning, it's not even, sure it's attached to the building, but he's not touching the back, right? It's the front face. The light fixtures are not attached to the building. There's some wood, you know, plaques that the light fixtures go into. So that's where I stand. But again, you know, the windows is always a shady just because of the materials, and unfortunately we can go back to the original, right? Sure, you can do shopping around, but I'm sure that that's gonna be like, we're still gonna say, well, I don't know, the width of this is not the same as what the original was. Or, hey, you know, I don't know, the face of it is not similar. So I mean, to me, I should have done more investigating, especially since the windows was my concern, but that's my fault, not either of yours fault. I mean, that's on me. I should have.
So, okay, your concern is,
But that was my concern coming in.
but I mean, what exactly about it? Taking the windows out and putting
Yes.
new ones in?
But once I found out that it was already approved, then that totally just, all right. As long as Allison can make sure that it's done similar to what was already approved, and obviously it didn't affect the structure of the building, I'm good with the window replacement. That's my personal opinion. Material wise, I usually don't suggest, because I need to dig in and provide options, right? If I'm gonna dig into it or stop something, I'm more of the let's present options out there based on our guidelines. And I know Hope digs into them more. I mean, she has the guidelines a little bit better, and I mean, that's just my only thing. It's just, you know, if this is not the right material, then if there's something that the guidelines suggest, let's present them and let's bring them up and say, hey, you know, this is what comes up.
Well, change your guidelines if you're gonna keep making expressions is the thing you might want to do. As different products come on the market, it's acceptable because there's a wide variety of siding that's a composite, you know, there's a wide variety and quality there. And so your guidelines might want to reflect that. If you say this is fine that we use plastic composite, but we want this kind of plastic composite rather than another kind, you know, so change your guidelines, is my suggestion. But I'm uncomfortable approving that without actually seeing what it's gonna look like.
Which part? Just the triangle? Just the awning?
Yeah, well, I don't think we should approve vinyl windows, but I know that you will because you did it before. But, and I was there and I missed it, but, yeah, I'd like to see what that's gonna be.
If you go to you could go to Slat Solution, their website, which is where this came from. You could probably see all sorts of pictures of it.
I think it's more of the feel, like,
Actually seeing the
Yeah,
material
actually,
versus a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Do they actually carry wood? That's solutions. Sorry.
And
Then give ideas. I mean,
No, we're actually not supposed to give this ideas, that's supposed to come early.
so just so I'm a little bit more clear, in a historical situation like this, is there a balance between the looks and the materials? Are you trying to get the old 1800 materials? Or are you more concerned with, we want the downtown to still maintain this look of being historical from the 1800s?
Well, we can't use the materials, I mean, it's too much money to replace what's there.
I agree.
I mean, that can't happen, we know that.
and there are
It's
products out there.
way too much, you know, we would never have any buildings replaced or
Right, so
fixed.
if there's products that look like those, but they aren't from the 1800s, but it looks similar.
But like, the vinyl is a lot different, I would think, than the composite wood, because it's actually wood pieces, correct?
Now, composite wood is like ground up wood, and it's still a different product.
But doesn't that fiber cement have wood chips in it?
I don't know about fiber cement.
Some fiber cement looks smooth, like drywall. It just depends on what. So I mean, when I read it and it said composite like, or no, it's or other composite materials. There's a lot of different
But
composite
then it
materials.
goes on to say wood composite or fiber cement in our guidelines.
Right. Or what was pre-approved, what has been approved by the commission. I know that the commission in the past, but maybe because it was what did you say, contributing, maybe that was different.
Which it would be the same building, right?
He's talking about the venue.
venue is the
Yeah, where I know that the product used was not wood fiber type product. It was similar to what this is.
What about this building? Do you know?
This exact building that he's talking about, I would say that the awning probably makes it non-contributing. That's the same as what it had with, so they had initially looked at some grants through the state, which led us to investigate the contributing versus non-contributing and worked with that with Indiana Landmarks on what makes sense. The discussion with the mayor on some of these has always been the same. We want to maintain a historical value in our downtown. We want to maintain, but we also understand that you don't preserve if you're not preserving. So if things are not being upgraded, if they're not being changed, they're not being preserved. So, you know, there is a fine balance, and I agree with you. And the mayor and I had this conversation not long ago on, you know, it's hard to do that. It's hard. We've got lots of buildings right now that need facade grants, that need improvements. And when you're looking at the cost of some of that, it's difficult. So we know that sometimes we say we don't love this, but we also know that it makes sense. It makes sense in the end of, you know, I wouldn't call it restoration, but preserving the awning, keeping it safe, functioning. It's not permanently, I mean, it's attached to the building, but somebody else could buy the building in 20 years and completely remove the awning. Like, it's not something that's going to possibly be there forever. You know, the colors look good, it looks nice, it's an improvement in our downtown. We love that. Any investment in these buildings, we appreciate that these building owners are willing to make those investments, because that's not easy. Construction costs are crazy right now, which is why the mayor upped the facade grant. We've had, this is our second one, we have like 4 more that are possibly on the books this year. I had to check to make sure we have enough money, and we have 3 that are already talking about next year. So this is ongoing, and there's a lot that's going on. I guess this was our 3rd one this year, wasn't it? But, because we did Dan and Sean Elston, but
Right,
anyway,
yeah.
So, you know, there is a lot to look at, and you guys have a lot to consider. And Hope is not wrong. The state has changed some of their guidelines. Hope is very correct on that. They have lessened some of the rules, I think, because of what's happening right now. And we probably do, and Allison and I can make that a project probably this winter. So thank you, Hope, for thinking of that and pointing that out, that we need to go through and just make sure that we're lining up with the state and what those are, because I do think that some of those guidelines have changed. And we may not be right on with what they are right now. The state supersedes us. So, you know, I don't know what that looks like on what they're saying right now, but that's a project that we will take on this winter, is just verifying that we are kind of lining up with them, because they have changed. We were surprised, but they have lessened some of their requirements and restrictions on some of the historic standards. And we just have not, we haven't updated our ordinances and our guidelines yet, but we will do that.
I think they're having more and more issues with people moving away from downtowns because of, you know, certain requirements or whatever. I think that's part of the problem, especially in bigger cities.
Wait, what does your timeline look like?
As soon as possible. I mean, we were waiting for this meeting to make sure that things were approved, and then phone calls would be made tomorrow and hopefully get things within the next 30 days.
Okay, so I certainly don't want to overstep anything, and you guys can determine what you think about this, but I would suggest maybe go ahead and making a motion so we can get going on those windows, start that facade grant process. If you want to table, and we could make sure that we have a meeting, if you would not mind looking into maybe this material, getting a couple examples of it, because I want to make sure that they're confident in what this is going to look like. You are right on that gateway, you are on that corner. We want it to look good. I know that it will. I know that you guys will do an awesome job, so I'm not doubting that. But if the board has some concerns, maybe get a couple options to let them look at and bring samples. And if you want to get them to Allison even before that, and they can come in and stop and see, or however you want to do that. But if you guys feel comfortable, maybe I would think of that. If this is your concern and this is your holdup, instead of dragging this out too much longer, if you are not comfortable making a motion on it right now, maybe table and look at the material. If you are comfortable on doing an emotion and you feel good about that, do that. But I think that a decision needs to go, because you are, for time's sake and respecting everybody's time, moving that in one direction or the other. And that's up to you as board president, or however you feel, Clay, but it is an option if you think that you need to delay that.
Do we have anyone that has any type of motion that they'd like to make?
And again, it would be probably splitting it, right? Is what the majority of us need to see samples. Is that what I'm getting the vibe on for the awning, right?
What do you got,
Would
George?
that be okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I feel bad. I have 2 samples. They're only this big, but either Dan or Rick have them.
Could we
But
have
I can get you some samples that you can hold and touch and.
Are we having a September meeting?
We are not. We're not
Okay.
in the September meeting. We will
could
not
we
meet again.
push it up and have a special meeting so we don't hold them up? I mean, it's gonna be winter and
Is the September meeting on the cruise at night?
I mean, you probably wanna get started.
Yeah.
Wait a whole month.
Yeah, and there's a timeline, we should probably do an emergency meeting if we're splitting the certificate. Maybe.
Just a special meeting.
Yeah, when would you be able to get us the composite to look at?
Possibly by the end of this week.
Would you just leave it over here with Allison?
I can, sure.
And it's not just the material, it's the application. It's just trim.
Without putting it up, we're not gonna know. I mean, other than looking at pictures of existing jobs that have it on it, that's the only way, I
I
don't.
didn't see anything on your site.
So I motion we split it,
Okay,
and we table the awning part until we can get the composite, and then Allison can, figure out a time where we can all get together to vote on it.
okay.
Can I add to the motion regarding the windows, if you don't mind? Just if Allison could make sure that it matches the previous windows, the installation. Just to make sure that everything's right, in case we miss something again.
Okay, do you wanna reverb that? Redo it with,
Okay, so I motion that we split the COA, tabling the awning portion of it,
okay,
and that Allison follow up with the window installation to assure that it is properly installed.
okay,
Sound right?
and you're motioning to approve the windows.
I'm motioning to approve the windows
And lighting.
and the lighting
And the painting,
and the painting. Sorry.
Everything.
Sorry. Everything else.
So the only thing we're tabling is the material itself of the awning.
I second that,
Okay,
since I moved the that's right.
all right, we have a second. All in favor of the motion to approve the windows, and with Allison making sure that they are installed properly, and tabling, and approving the painting and the sconces, and tabling anything to do with the awning. All in favor? Okay, all opposed?
Any opposed?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And when's the date that we wanna set for the table of the awning? Cause I know it's in the,
I don't know, it'll depend when I get that, then I have to do another agenda and I have to notify the media, so we have to wait so much time in between that.
Okay.
So I'll have to reach back out to the board once I get the material, and I prepare the new agenda and send it out, then it'll have to be a certain amount of time after that.
alright, thank you, Allison, sorry.
Just to conclude that, the motion for the windows, painting and sconces is approved by majority. And that we are tabling the awning. Gosh, I just forgot how to spell awning.
I will let
Not an easy
I will let
word.
the commission know once I receive that material and when the new rescheduled date will be.
And you have enough to get started when this is all approved.
The windows portion, yeah.
And then we'll call special meeting for that next October, so that will be our only thing on the agenda, will be the awning.
Okay.
And I will get with you on that.
all right,
Thank you.
sounds good. Thank
Thank you,
you,
Ian.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudia.
All right, next on the schedule is events. In October, we'll be having a haunted cemetery tour event at Circle Hill. We are partnering with Main Street and Trine for this. Staff member Daglo has met with local historians and community representatives to start the process of planning this event. Event will be October 24th and 25th. Allison will start a sign-up sheet for HPC to volunteer at the event. Anyone have anything else on that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, absolutely.
I think several of us probably do. on that,
Yeah,
so,
right.
So one of our local historians is here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. She has already done a lot of the research on several of the people that have been laid to rest in Circle Hill Cemetery. When I started, it was told to me that the Historic Preservation Commission would like to start doing a little bit more events and kind of letting the community know that we are here. I do hear often that I didn't know that there was a Historic Preservation Commission. I didn't know I was in a historic preservation area. So to kind of start showing the community that we are here, we thought this would be a fun event to do and also be able to partner with some other organizations. Main Street has said that they would house the ticket sales, which I don't think I had the opportunity to tell you ladies. So we will have tickets that will go towards some money for historic preservation projects that we want to do in the future as well. One of the ideas I'd like to do is that we try to also work with Main Street, but do some of the QR codes around the downtown, which is something we talked about for a long time. So just start to kind of be able to do that. I know you probably have a few things to say about the Circle Hill event as well.
Yeah, I mean, does Kathy want to talk first, or do you want to? Okay, so, gosh, I mean, we got a lot of planning already done, so we're gonna have 8 actors and meet at Selman, and there'll be lanterns, and people will be in character, in costumes, and it will be like their grave, right? So I do have 8 actors for us, 4 from Trine. We wanted to partner with the university, which is really good. So we have 4 from the Steuben County Theater and 4 from Trine. So 4 grown-ups and 4 kids, you know. So, and Kathy's already written all the narratives, so that's, the work is really all done. And she's got, you know, the placement where we're gonna be, so.
Do you have the extra people to be the docents?
I have extra people.
Okay, you said 8, that would
Well, I mean,
cover-
I thought we were doing 8 actors. We talked about
That's
that.
right, 8
Yeah.
actors, but you have the extra people who will be the docents.
I have those.
Yay, okay.
Yeah, that's not, but I mean, I have 8.
All right.
Yeah.
She means in addition to your speakers.
What? Yeah.
Do you have more in addition
I
to
can.
your speakers? Right?
I can.
In addition
How many
to
total are you going to need for the
I
docents?
mean, people just tour guys.
The way we see this, I think, let me start, is the people who bring the tickets and they're timed would come at, let's say, 6 o'clock, and then someone will walk them to Louisa Hendry, Martha Gale, the mausoleum. And the person who is standing there, my name is Louisa Hendry, and tell the story. Then someone needs to walk that group up to the next marker. I have it in here without pulling it out, that takes too much time. But walking them up to, say, Henry James, and Henry is at the far southeast edge of Circle Hill. Henry was a mountain climber, and his body is still on Denali. He was never found. He was literally blown off the mountain in 97 miles an hour gale force winds.
Who was?
His name's Henry James,
Henry James.
and he was in the group of Purdue University's first male special ed teachers. He graduated, he got a job, he belonged to a climbing group. But when he died, his family had split, his parents had split, and they decided that they don't have a place to bury. They don't have anybody to bury. But they had a marker made for, a cenotaph made for Henry, and it's up there next to his grandfather, who was also named Henry James. And so to tell his story, you know, you have a guy who's standing there with ropes and, okay. But someone needs to move them around to Charlie Rodabaugh.
Okay, so we want.
Yeah, so what we need,
So
we have the actors.
Do we want one person per movement? Or are you talking like, okay, this person could do the first 4 and this person could do the last 4? Like, how many do you think you would need?
As many groups as you're sending through.
Yeah, I thought
Time
you'd just stay
tickets.
with the group.
How are we timing them as far as that
30,
goes?
so we're doing 30-minute increments. So we'll start on, like, let's say Friday, that will start at 5 p.m. So we'll have the first group go out at 5 p.m. We won't have another group come until 5:30. So every 30 minutes, we're sending out a new group so they're not right behind each other.
Okay.
How long does it take to get
Each-
through the?
About an hour.
Each speaker, we look at each speaker talking for 5 to 7, maybe 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Total, then you figure there's a walking time, we have to get to the next one. If the entire circuit takes an hour, that would be a goal. We feel that that's feasible as far as asking people to walk. And that's feasible as far as asking people to move around. Because if you're standing at Charlie Rodabaw's marker, and there's another group at John Gillies, he died in Andersonville prison. He was a Civil War veteran, he died there. He's planted there. So we've got his story, we've got Charlie, those two are the closest together. And Dr. George McConnell, who was the sheriff when Silas Doty broke out of Angola's jail twice. Great stories, but if they are close enough together that they overlap audiologically, you don't
I
want
just love watching her talk. Like, you could just say, all she has to say is moving from one headstone to the next. But she's like, moving from Henry James. And then, I just love watching her talk. She just gets so into it. I love it.
When I get down to Dan Webster, I adore his
Do you need
story.
a picture of him?
Dan? Do you have one of Dan?
It's hard to see, but there's a snapshot of him and
Yes.
his dog outside the carriage barn. I'll
Yes.
try to find
I
it.
have the actual card from his
Funeral.
services.
Yeah.
But I don't have a picture of him. Yeah, I'd love to have that. The other thing is I'm gonna take over, but things like, there's a picture of Anderson.
It was bound to happen.
It's okay.
You make a copy of the map, you get it framed, and the person who's standing there can say, this is what it looked like. Henry James, I have a picture of what he looks like.
Right.
With the 12 guys that went with him up the mountain. Hank is the little guy in the middle with the bright red pants on. You can see him. You hold up his picture framed. You can say that, this is what he looks like. So things like that, make them real. Make those people real. And try to do it so that you've got a walking tour at the same time. Charlie Rodabaugh invented 7-Up Pop, but he titled it Life, and he patented it 6 months before 7-Up came on the scene. There was a huge lawsuit in Chicago, and Charlie won. He said, Mr. Rodabaugh, you patented this first. It's exactly the same recipe. It's yours. What do you want to do with your company? He says, as long as I'm working in Steuben County and DeKalb, where I sell my pop, stay out of my district. That's all I want. I want to be able to serve my community. I want to do what I enjoy. I don't care. They're fine over there. And 7-Up executives are going, yes, Mr. Rodabaugh. Anything you say, Mr. Rodabaugh, certainly. As long as he lived, you could not buy 7-Up here. Pepsi and Coke stayed away too. Because they knew he had a loyal fan base. And I always I do this with my students. 43 years as a 7th grade teacher. And I did this with my students. And I always took 7-Up up there, those little tiny bathroom glasses. We poured it out, we toasted Charlie, and the kids moved on. But those things are, I had someone the other day said, Mrs. Owens, do you remember when we went up to the cemetery and you talked about that black guy and how they ended up, and he was working for that old judge, and yeah, I remember that. It was
He's a lawyer.
William Croxton. Well, he was judge for a while too.
He only
He only had one arm.
I know he only had one arm.
Yeah.
So I know, so she already chose 8 people
Yeah,
from
we've already got the
history here.
people and the
So we
characters.
have that, and we're very fortunate to have you, because she already has a lot of the history that we would have already, we would have already needed. And then to also be able to work with Luann and try
Yeah, and they're all gonna be in costume, and we made it so that Friday night is 5 to 7, but Saturday night is adults only, 6 to 8, right? 6 to 8.
6 days.
Is that
So
what
the
we said?
Saturday event is gonna be a little bit better suited for teens and adults and will be a little bit scarier.
So we'll have our makeup and et cetera, but
Will
it's more
you still
adults.
be able to judge the costume contest?
Well, nobody's done.
No, the costume contest down here.
Yeah,
Because that's the Saturday we're giving, that Saturday.
yeah, but we're fine,
Okay.
because it doesn't start. 'Cause
Okay, I just wanna make sure you're gonna have enough time to
No,
do
no, no.
whatever you gotta do.
We even talked about that, because remember last year we put the contest earlier.
Yeah.
And that worked out so much better, because people were already there instead of waiting around, so
Yeah.
we're good.
So what time is that, Saturday?
6 to 8.
And
And then we,
I will send everybody out
So we
the
only have 4 groups.
8 people, yeah, 4 groups, and we're charging, or there's only 15 people. Tickets will be limited to 15 people per group, because we want them to be able to hear. And we're not gonna use microphones or anything, obviously, so we're gonna limit it. And hopefully we'll get 15 people for each tour, so that'd be
So
60.
where are you getting these 15 people?
Well,
They're
we're
ticket sales.
advertising.
Yeah.
We've got flyers.
Okay, so
and-
you've already said we're just gonna have 4 groups.
Well, yeah, 5, 5:30, 6, and 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the next night, 6, 6:30, 7. So it's 60, we can have 60 people a night, if we sell that, if we were to sell that many tickets. The what?
Parking.
We're gonna be at Selman's, so there's lots of parking
And
there.
I've already gotten with the Parks
Yeah.
Department, they're gonna keep the restrooms open at
Great.
Commons Hall so people can
We
use the
thought-
bathrooms.
yeah.
And we're still in some of the planning phase for this, but we do have dates tied down. I've spoken to Circle Hill Cemetery representative, they've approved those nights. But this is basically gonna be all volunteer based. What I am asking the Historic Preservation Commission is to help us advertise for the event, which I will send everybody the flyers with the QR codes, and that's how they'll purchase tickets through Main Street. And then I will send you all the other details as well as they come. But again, we are working with Kathy, with Luann and Trine, and with Main Street as a partnering event. I do need volunteers that day, so that will be I come in with my ticket and you check me in. So we do need some additional volunteers besides who Luann is getting to play the docents and to also act as the people in history. So I would like to ask you guys for your time on either date. So if you could either do Friday the 24th from 5 to 7 or Saturday the 25th from 6 to 8. And that's just kind of greeting people that are coming in, helping them get where they need to go, and checking in tickets. So if you could let me know what dates you would be available, that would be wonderful.
I'll get back with you on that.
Yeah, I could do that.
And in the meantime, as soon as I have that QR code, which Main Street is working on, and that goes live for ticket sales, I will send that out, which should be in the next few days.
And tickets are how much?
$5.
It's really cheap, but we figured, I know, it's really cheap, except we thought at least we should charge something so they have, they've made a commitment. Sometimes when you say, oh, well, I'll sign up, and then you don't charge, and then they don't really show up.
And
But
I mean,
$5 isn't
Do you have
much,
an
but
age limit that you put in?
And if it
I mean,
goes
not-
well,
not
we
on
can
Friday
talk
night.
about, raising those ticket prices next year. This is really kind of our first event we tried. We just wanted to kind of keep that a simple amount and affordable for families to go to. Again, the primary goal is, yes, it's great to raise a little bit of money, but our main goal here is to, again, kind of get youth and people that live here to know our history here and to also know the Historic Preservation Commission is in Angola, we're a real thing, so.
yeah, and to do something really fun. We have to do these tours, for HAC, so this will count as that, so that's, yeah, because it's been done for a while, so this will be good, and good for us. Good for the trying kids, good for everybody, be fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
Kathy.
And Kathy's done all the work, she has all the cemetery, and everybody, I guess, will get a map, right, all the
All right.
people walk around with
Okay.
a map, and she's got the maps, everybody will have a map.
There it is. Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so we're all set on that. Let's move
I
on.
will email you guys again with that and also what people in history, the that we'll be portraying, because I know you're gonna ask who we might have chosen in the cemetery.
What?
Were you gonna ask who we chose?
Yeah, I was gonna ask
Yeah,
the rest.
I'll send that in an email to you.
She had 6 of them.
I'll show you.
8 of them.
Yeah, I mean, we already have, yeah.
Next on our events is Voices and Votes, and I just wanted to touch base with you on that. That was the traveling Smithsonian display that will be in Angola, March through May of 2026. With May being Historic Preservation Month, maybe, and this is just we're talking about it, I know that's in 2026, but maybe we want to incorporate that. It would be a good opportunity for us, since that is going to be during the Historic Preservation Month. I know we talked about doing the photo contest still, but just kind of keeping in mind how we could incorporate that Smithsonian, maybe with the photo contest, or any kind of thoughts or suggestions you might have to tie some of those things together to celebrate May being the Historic Preservation Month. Also, I wanted to know if HPC was interested in presenting at all during the exhibition time. I am working on doing group tours for that event, and it might be nice for HPC commission members to present on a topic during that tour. Maybe even partnering with the Klein Museum to showcase any relics from Angola's history. We don't really need to go into that a whole lot right now. I guess I just want to get it on your radar and kind of get your wheels turning a little bit on what we could do to...
If we are incorporating this traveling Smithsonian display, can we know what it is? I mean,
Voices and Votes is a traveling Smithsonian display that is about democracy in America and mainly focusing on how voting started even in Steuben County. So we do our own, kind of our own display on our local history as well as the history in
and
America.
where will it be at?
That'll be at the Carnegie Library, the library here in town.
It'd be cool to incorporate the courthouse somehow.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to do a talk on Sojourner Truth. I mean, you can go ahead and put me down for that because, you know, she was instrumental. I mean, obviously the votes didn't come then, but she pushed for it. And so she was very instrumental. And we have her, and so many people don't know about her statue and her story. I mean, you know, I have to tell all my students, have you gone around the circle and seen, you know, the statues and all that? And they don't. Even local people don't. So I'd like to do that.
That
You
sounds
can
great. I'll put you down
sign me
for
up for that.
And I will send you guys a little information about that. Also, if you look up Voices and Votes, and that has been a traveling exhibit for the last 4 years, I believe. This is actually its last year in circulation. So
Did we have to pay for that at all, or is it?
that was a grant I received.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was all through a grant. So, and that was through Indiana Humanities.
I love that we're getting it.
Nice work.
Thank you. So we are one of 7 communities in the state that received that grant. So.
Very cool. Awesome.
So we will talk about that a little bit more as time moves on, but again, I just kind of wanted to put that out there so you guys know the dates that's coming and kind of think of some ideas that we can incorporate maybe with HPC, so.
Great.
And that's all I had for new business.
Okay. All right, then old business was the photo contest, which we voted on. We didn't have as many submissions as we would have liked, but hopefully we can try again next year. I think it was a neat idea and yeah. Just try and have a photography video.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Okay, because that would be something good to display, advertise in that building.
Right,
where
except
most
you
of
know
the
they're
classes
gone
are.
in the summer, so you gotta keep that in
Would-
mind.
yeah,
Anything we say, oh, let's get trying to do photos, well, they're gone.
That's true, that's
Yeah,
true,
you
they're not
gotta
there in
remember
June.
that, they're not even there. And
If we
They can't
started
do the work.
advertising them before they left.
before they leave, I mean.
Yeah,
even
because they could get one in before
Well,
they left.
actually, at the
Yeah.
beginning of the second semester, you don't
Yeah.
wanna wait till like
So
the
that's
last week of
something,
April.
that's something we can
Then
talk
to-
about again
Yeah,
come
but-
like January.
I think the beginning of the semester, and I can talk to Sarah Franzen, not Sarah Franzen.
So they're out in May? Okay,
They're only
so,
there like the first
But you can't tell students in April, oh, we need some photos, they've got finals, they're getting ready, you know.
So if we
You
get it to
gotta-
them, if we get it to the
part of the
college
class.
beforehand, then I feel like we'll get a bunch more people, and even if we don't give them their prize till they come back, or if they win and they're seniors, we can send them whatever, you know.
so what month are you proposing that we start to put that out to the public?
When do they go?
So you're thinking about maybe having photo contests with the voices and voting? Is that in March?
I mean.
Nobody said March. She was asking when we could have it.
Well, March and May is when the voice and the voting thing is here.
So Historic Preservation Month is
In June.
May, so we could have that contest go through until the end of May or whatever.
Yeah, with Voices and Votes, I'm just saying that's just kind of an opportunity we have to either do some of our, any ideas that we want to do with HPC, or do we want to incorporate something with that photo contest and Voices and Votes? I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there, that's all I was saying. But I do agree that if we want to do the photo contest again, we need to put it out there a little bit earlier. I'm just wondering what month you would like me to start that, and we can go all through May, even into June again. But if we start several months earlier, I'm not sure we need to go into
I don't think
June.
we would need to either. When are the students, when would be ideal for the students as far as like to let them know?
I mean, I think actually, as soon as possible, really. For them to start thinking about it. In fact, I would talk
Like the
to
beginning
Sarah
of the
Zimmer,
second semester?
like,
That's what I was thinking. Maybe we talk about it and finalize everything in January.
yeah,
At the January meeting, we talk
well,
about.
before that,
Because when they come
Because
back,
she has-
they could implement.
so they're ready. So if Sarah Zimmer wants to put this in her curriculum, she's gotta know this, by early December for her syllabus to be due in she won't, I can't say to her in January, oh, will you add this to your curriculum? You can't do that, she's gotta know ahead of time.
Add it to the curriculum.
Well, add it
She's
to
gonna
her
put a
syllabus.
flyer up.
Yeah,
No,
but
but
still, she might wanna,
if she could use this as part of her class,
Yeah.
that might get even more attention.
She teaches photography. If she added that and just say, an extra bonus 10 points if you participate and we need photos of this, students will do that. But if she makes it part of her class, it's a
We'll get a
lot
lot
easier to
more,
get kids to
we'll
do
get a lot more
things.
people.
So if I reach out to the university, Luann, maybe even in December or before that, and just said, we're going to be doing this contest, we're gonna run that through March through May, the end of May for submissions, that would be sufficient. So we would have 3 months, but I would let them know several months prior to this coming out.
Right.
Okay, I will do that.
That's just, you just can't wait till last minute.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, if the students know early, and if the professor knows early, then they can, weave it into their class too, as opposed to like, say in April, oh, by the way, Sarah, could you get the kids to do, it's too late.
Then I will at least reach out to maybe the MSD and to the college.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, because yes, it's nice to get involved in trying, but we don't want it to be
No, what I'll do is I'll just.
overload trying.
I don't think
when we
you
want
will,
to.
I don't think you'll have
I'll
that.
just kind of let them know in December.
You get extra points for it, you are.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not that
You
many.
get extra credit.
There's not that many kids in the
Who's not
class.
gonna go take a
Yeah,
picture?
There's not that many kids in the class.
We have 2,300 students, probably 20 of them will be in photography class.
No, okay.
So
Alright.
that would be,
Okay.
if we got 20 trying students, I'd be thrilled.
No.
That's not, we wouldn't get more than that, I can tell you right now.
How about visions of freedom
Yeah.
as a theme? Because when it's for us, you want to focus on buildings because preservation, right?
We do, and then just, I think you guys are all aware, but next year is the 250th anniversary, the semi-quincentennial, did I say that right?
But if
So
it's
that-
going along with your voices and votes.
Well,
maybe
you know,
could have
Sarah
the fun be
Adams,
freedom. And that could be a lot of things. It might be someone's picture of an eagle flying, or birds, or it might be somebody's idea of clean water, the right.
So now we're changing it away from HPC then.
No,
Not really.
it's still HPC, it's voices and votes.
It would,
A bird is HPC?
no, but what she's saying
Because
is
they look
we
like
could-
that
No, it's
historically, or?
just tying the photo.
tying it into the
to the
voices and
voices
votes thing.
specific. And it doesn't have to be art.
I'm even saying we could do something as simple as advertise at Voices and Votes for the photo contest. I mean, you can get as wild with that as you want, or we can do as little as you'd like, so. I'm just saying it's an opportunity that we're gonna have a lot of people coming into the community, so I think if nothing else, at a minimum, we wanna probably put out some flyers for the photo contest. If we wanna keep it historical buildings in Steuben County like we did last year, I think that's fine. But I would at least recommend that we kind of put some information out there to the public at the library during that time, since we'll be kind of increasing.
I just think if it's something coming from HPC, I think it should be about buildings.
Not necessarily, but the
This isn't about the building.
but, right.
It's not, Voices and Votes is a completely separate
Right,
event.
it is, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean, that she mentioned here maybe having a photo contest with.
Okay. Whatever you want.
So I think we'll kind of table that. I would suggest we do the photo contest for next year, and we can kind of talk about themes as we get a little bit closer. I would like us to at least maybe decide by December 2025, so we've got plenty of time. And again, that's just to kind of let the college know and the school. I won't put out the contest. I think we'll do maybe a 3-month time period or something for that, so.
But you would be okay, Allison, if I talked to Sarah Zimmer about it now?
That would be fine.
I mean,
We're going to do.
she's my friend to try, I mean, we teach in the same
Yeah,
building.
we're gonna
just say,
do
"Hey,
something.
Heads up, here's some,
Yeah.
we're gonna be doing, how do you think you know, why don't you think about how you can do this with your students and with us?
Yes, and
Just
I
give her a
can
heads
send
up.
you even the flyer we did from
Yeah,
last
let me
year,
get
just
that.
so you get an idea.
Yeah,
Sure, that sounds good.
so that we don't wait. Yes, sir?
And that's all I had for old business, but
Okay? Any reports? From anyone?
I have something cool.
Okay.
I know. Oh, I love that, Clay.
My honesty's out the window. I mean, my mask is gone.
I'm
All right?
sorry, but it's kind of cool, because we're.
I'm not surprised if that helps.
I know you.
She knows I love her.
I know, it just rolled right over my head. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So, because we're with Indiana Landmarks and all of that, so you're familiar with the Cook Cup, right? Because we talk about the Cook Cup. There you are. There you are. Every year, Indiana Landmarks gives the Cook Cup to a business building that has the best restoration in the state.
Yeah.
Act like, I've talked about this before. It's a Cook Cup. It's a big deal. It's once a
You
year.
never explain anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard you over
Talk about
explain
the
it.
Cook Cup? I have to. Every year, it's
Yeah.
the Indiana Landmarks gives
I did
this
not know
huge-
they did that, but
They
yes.
do.
Okay.
They looked at all the
I
people
did not,
apply.
but that's cool that they do
And
that,
they,
yes.
so I've had and then they hire a person to do the research and the stories, and you build your story and you do one person show on that building, on that organization. Well, this year went to Electric Works in Fort Wayne
I saw that.
for their big, and I'm the one that they honored with the contract.
congratulations.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's very, so I just.
the electric works.
I will be in Indianapolis at the Landmarks Building on March 29th at 4:30 to 6. The show, that's if you really care about that right now. And then I'll do one at Electric Works.
Do they have
Yeah,
a
with the city
flyer for
council,
that?
Fort Wayne, and everybody who's in Fort Wayne,
If
so.
you have a flyer for that, if you could send it to me,
Well,
that
they
would be
probably
great.
will, I
Or-
don't, but
And then
my
I can
job
send
is
it
to
out
do
to
the
the,
show, they'll
can
advertise.
send it out to everybody
Yeah.
then, okay.
You know, we have to set the date for that one. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. This is my 5th one, and this is I did the Bass Mansion, Charlie Creek Inn, Shrewsbury House in Madison.
Where's the best?
I did one more, the Eagles Theater in Wabash, I did that
I
one.
remember
Yeah,
that.
Eagles Theater, and then I did one in Indianapolis. So I guess this is number 6. It's my last one, I told him that. You don't believe me.
They're gonna just keep giving them names.
It'll be
It's
fun. It's just cool that the person was chosen from Steuben County, that I'm get to do that. So it's a big honor. You get paid and not much for all the work you do. I'm telling you what, you don't get paid for the work you do. You would know that, all that work that goes into this kind of stuff. But anyway, I started the research today. So, anyway, that's all I got. Surprise, surprise. I could have more, but I'm stopping.
Nice.
Apologize.
No, no.
It's got something.
One thing, I think I brought up before the Don Mason Junior house, that's a West Strand.
It's for sale.
It's for sale.
It's got an offer, it's pending, isn't it?
I don't know if it's pending. Last I looked, he had it listed for like 85, I think.
It's 85.
Oh.
When
I think I looked Sunday. Yeah.
Where is that?
It's behind the Klein Museum, it's the all-metal homes that they
It's
built
like
after the war.
tealish color. It's kind of off the road.
Oh,
It's kind of
maybe.
like,
I can show you a picture of it, George.
It's historic in every way. It's so cool. Don Mason lived there,
That makes a Junior.
and Don Mason Jr.,
yeah, but
and then he died.
yeah, and then
That's it.
that's the story.
I got a Facebook.
All right, Kathy, so you tell the Don Mason.
I got a Facebook request from Don Mason last week.
Work on that one.
Okay, all right. All right, any more reports?
Just one thing,
Okay.
Klein's request to be, is kind of gone off the face of the earth.
But
What
that's
can
not-
I do to?
I don't have
attention to
time to
that?
do it at all until this winter. I have too much on my plate to even start preparing those documents, so it's gonna be winter.
Do you have documents to prepare?
I do.
I mean, do you have a form?
You don't have any other forms that you could do. You've already done all that. We can talk
No,
about that.
I mean, I've
later.
given you the information.
You've given me everything I need, but I just have to prepare some things for it.
She said she has too much on her plate. She said, no, I can never do that.
Let me know if I can help facilitate that.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't used to, but
I'm not good at it.
It almost killed me. I don't have your energy.
I'm
I
not
do
good
not
at it.
have your
Okay, and I know
energy.
we went a little bit over today, but just so the commission knows, if you do have prior questions about any report that I do, please let me know that ahead of time, because I can get you materials, we can cover some of that ahead of time, to maybe avoid a longer median, so we can do that. So if you ever have any questions on my report, please reach out to me ahead of time. I do try to get that to you at least 5 days prior, if not more. So that would kind of.
Yeah, because you sent it out a week ago and could have said, hey, can we
I did, so
any
any questions you have.
touch the composite? And then we could have already had it.
Yeah, so please do that. I would be happy to do any of that research ahead of time.
Okay.
And I can also reach out to the applicants and get any additional information you need,
Right.
so please let me know that.
It's a good idea.
Motion to adjourn?